I knew something was wrong the moment she walked through the door. Her eyes, those familiar soft eyes I'd spent 10 years memorizing, didn't look at me the same way. They hesitated. They searched the floor before meeting mine, as if afraid of what they might reveal. "Where were you?" I asked. It wasn't the words that carried the weight. It was the silence before them. The kind that crawls under your skin and stays there. She swallowed hard. "I told you I just needed some time away. Just one day, Daniel." "One day," I repeated, my voice barely a whisper. "And you didn't answer your phone. Not once. I thought you were dead, Emily." She forced a tired smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You always overthink things. I went to a friend's place. I needed space." I studied her. Her clothes were different from the morning she left. Too neat, too deliberate. Her hair smelled like a hotel shampoo I didn't recognize. And that faint trace of cologne on her jacket. Not mine. I didn't want to believe what my gut was screaming. Not yet. Emily and I had been together since college. 10 years married, 12 years total. Ours wasn't a perfect marriage, but it was solid. Or so I thought. We'd weathered layoffs, miscarriages, long-distance stretches, and family chaos. She used to call me her anchor. Said I was the only person who made her feel safe. Now, looking at her, I realized she'd drifted away long before she disappeared that day. The first crack came 3 months earlier, after her promotion at the marketing firm. Suddenly she was working late 3 times a week. Her phone, once left casually on the coffee table, was now locked. Face down. Always. When I'd ask who she was messaging, she'd roll her eyes. "Daniel, it's just work. You think I have time for anyone else?" I wanted to trust her. I really did. But trust isn't blind. It's built, and I could feel ours crumbling grain by grain. The day she vanished was a Friday. She kissed me goodbye that morning, or rather brushed her lips against my cheek, and said she was heading into the city for meetings. By noon, her office said she wasn't there. By 4 p.m., her phone went straight to voicemail. By midnight, I was pacing the living room, calling hospitals, friends, even her mother. No one had seen her. It was the longest night of my life. Then, at 8 a.m. the next day, she walked in. Collected. Carrying a small overnight bag. And just like that, my fear turned into something darker, suspicion. That night, she showered for almost an hour. I stood outside the bathroom door, listening to the water run, my heart hammering against my ribs. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but I knew the truth would come on its own. It always does. When she finally came to bed, she smelled like a stranger. "Can we just not talk tonight?" she murmured, turning away from me. So I lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering when love had turned into guessing games. 2 days later, my opportunity came. Her phone buzzed while she was in the shower, the screen lighting up just long enough for me to see the name. Evan. Evan was her new colleague, the one she'd mentioned casually weeks ago. "He's harmless," she'd said, laughing. "He's married with kids. Don't be jealous." But I wasn't jealous. I was observant. And that morning I opened her phone, using her birthday, which she'd forgotten I still remembered, and found everything I needed to destroy my own peace. Messages. Hundreds of them. Photos from hotel rooms, voice notes filled with whispered laughter. "Miss you" text sent while I was at work. Then one message, sent just before she disappeared. "I can't keep sneaking around like this. I need a day with you. Just us, no pretending." And his reply. "I booked the room. Same place. Bring that red dress I love." I couldn't breathe. I sat there for hours, scrolling through a love story that wasn't mine anymore. Every word was a knife, and yet I kept reading, because I needed to feel the pain to make it real. When she came out of the shower, towel wrapped around her, humming softly, I looked at her like a stranger standing in my home. That night, I didn't confront her. I acted normal. I cooked dinner. I even asked about her day. She smiled, relieved, maybe thinking she'd fooled me. But something inside me had already died. I was planning my goodbye. The next morning I left early for work, or so she thought. Instead, I drove downtown to the hotel mentioned in the messages. The clerk hesitated when I asked for the room under Evan's name, but I didn't need to see the registry. I just wanted to stand there, outside that door, to feel the betrayal in its truest form. Room 214. The air smelled of cheap air freshener and lies. I didn't knock. I just looked at that brass number, memorized it, then walked away. By the time I got home, I'd made my decision. When she came home that evening, I was waiting at the dining table. Her phone was on the table. Unlocked. The messages open. Her face drained of color the second she saw it. "Daniel. Don't," I said quietly. "Don't insult me with lies." Tears welled up instantly. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I didn't mean for it to. Didn't mean for what? I interrupted. Didn't mean to sleep with him. Or didn't mean to get caught. A sob. I felt lost, okay? We barely talked anymore. You were distant. I needed to feel something. I laughed, bitter and hollow. So you went looking for it in a hotel room. Her tears kept falling, but they didn't move me anymore. Because I finally realized something brutal. She wasn't crying because she loved me. She was crying because her lie was over. I stood up calm and clear. You vanished for one day, Emily. But in that one day, you lost me forever. The next morning I packed her things. She didn't fight it. Didn't beg. Just watched quietly, as if she knew there was no coming back from this. "I'm sorry," she whispered when I handed her the suitcase. "I know," I said. "But sorry doesn't fix what you killed." And with that she was gone. The weeks that followed were empty. The bed felt too big. The silence too loud. Sometimes I caught myself checking my phone, half expecting her to text something. Anything. But the messages never came. Instead, what arrived was peace. Slow, fragile, but real. I started running again. I reconnected with old friends. I learned to cook properly, the way I used to before she criticized every dish. And one night, while watching the rain outside my window, it hit me. I hadn't lost her that day. I'd been losing her for years. I just refused to see it. That realization didn't hurt. It healed. A few months later, I ran into Evan by chance, at a cafe near my office. He looked miserable, disheveled. His wedding ring was gone. He froze when he saw me. "Daniel." Don't," I said, echoing my own words from that night. "You made your choice. She made hers. You both got what you wanted." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. She left me," he muttered. "Said she needed to figure herself out." I smiled faintly. "Guess she's still vanishing." And I walked away, leaving him with the same emptiness he helped create. Strange how betrayal works. You think it'll destroy you, but it doesn't. It refines you. It strips away illusions, burns through denial, and leaves behind only truth. I don't hate Emily. Not anymore. I just don't recognize her. The woman I once loved turned into someone who couldn't see the difference between freedom and faithlessness. She lost me the moment she traded honesty for secrecy, love for lust, home for a hotel room. And I lost her the moment I realized forgiveness would never bring back the man I was before she left. It's been a year now. Sometimes I still catch myself thinking about that day. How she walked back into our house like nothing happened, not realizing she was walking into the end. But then I remember her face when I told her she'd lost me, that flicker of realization, that crack in her composure, and I know I made the right choice. Because love isn't supposed to vanish for a day and return with someone else's scent. It's supposed to stay. And when it doesn't, you learn to. You move forward. Not because it's easy, but because you finally understand that some people don't deserve the version of you that waited, worried, and forgave. She vanished for one day. But in that single day, she lost everything. The trust, the love, the man who would have done anything for her. And me. Found myself.